Hello, everybody. It's been a good long month almost since I've made a video, and there's a lot of reasons for that. If you saw the Mr. Robot video I did a while ago, I talked about how the interactions with people really hasn't been all that great, and then like there's this insane thing that was going on with this job that I was trying to get, and we'll get into that at the end of the video. Let's just say I might even make a video about it because it's just crazy. I've never really experienced that. It's been a month, right? So the last time I made this video, I applied to start that job and haven't worked a day yet. So just very frustrating because I'm on the fence and I don't know what's going on, right? So had to clear some space out of the iCloud finally, so that was good too. So today we're going to talk about Act 2. Um, Last video I made was Act 1, so, it's appropriate to talk about Act 2. I don't know how I'm going to break certain things down because, like I said, the interludes, I think, last chapter, I got the kind of Wano, attire, the loose fitting clothing kind of thing, kind of got the button going. But, anyways, I just thought I would do a little bit of something. Since it's been a while. So I'm gonna just like recap some of this anyways. So like Act 2, we basically had like right off the bat, Inuarashi. I can't believe I've been able to say that name right for a while now. He clashed with Ashura Doji, who I think in this act we find out is hasn't really been Shutenmaru. It was actually Law, and then later Kinemon that did that. And so we do that. That exchange happens. We meet King and Queen. I don't know if I talked about this before. King and Queen are pretty amazing. Well, King is. Queen's a turd. Um, so then we go to the Flower Capital, and that's where stuff really, really gets crazy, right? And then we have this thief. Um, Now that I think about it, I don't think this thief actually been. Sorry. No, you know what? Actually, now that I think about it, this thief has not been. Chapter 926, and we still don't know who the. I don't know why they won't call it what it is on this website, but it's the Midnight, the Midnight Boy or whatever. He steals stuff, so that's interesting. I think that has to do with Komurasaki or something. People are saying Komurasaki is Toki. No. You could look at, just no. I think it's a stupid thing. It completely negates her death and her importance to passing the torch on, which a lot of characters do in One Piece. Um, so there's also Kamaza the killer, whom boy was that interesting. So we find out he's an assassin that was for Orochi's men, and we'll get into that later, but pretty amazing. So Act 2 was pretty insane. To me, it's the most insane thing Oda's pulled off because it's boring. It is boring, and at the time it's repetitive. But then out of nowhere, we get all this stuff like whoa, 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 slow down. Like I think the boringest chapter of the whole series was probably I think it was 927 where Sanji's just talking to this little girl, and sure she becomes important. I mean, spoilers. She's literally the daimyo's daughter, but she is, and there's nothing wrong with her, but an entire chapter dedicated to this. Oh, and then there was a break before it and a break after it. It was a dark time to me in One Piece. It was boring. Uh, like I said, the Komurasaki thing. I think it's really cool though when she gets her like kind of like entourage, if you will. Like she has like this entourage of like people or whatever. I think it's pretty cool. And then and then shit hits the fan, right? It's pretty unclear to me whether the Shogun can actually use a sword, but I don't think he can. I really think he's pretty weak. I mean, sure, we saw this devil fruit get, mythical zones are always really interesting to me, but he's not really. It's a hindrance. Why would having more heads ever be useful? Because I know Oda. at this point, at reading so many chapters, I know that one of those heads is gonna bite the other head, and he's gonna be like, "Yo, let's focus here." You just know that's gonna not help him. Like I feel like devil fruits are like 50% like it's like that SpongeBob like when Plankton puts his he tries to figure out the Krabby Patty formula and he like it says like 99% hot gas and like 1% evil. It's like devil fruits are 50% like gag and 50% actually do something. Um, but I think something cool was the Onabum Own. This is a hard name. Own Onuwabanshu. They're pretty darn cool. We got like this ninja dude on the roof. There's this dude like riding a whale, or it's a carp, I guess. It looks like a whale though. He's got like these flames too. He's like dispatched by like Zoro, like no problem. I don't even know. I think he's dead. Robin runs into him. There's like this girl with flowers that we later see with the Mima. I, I will not. I will have to look at the word in order to pronounce that one. There's this like fat dude that looks like a knight. There's a guy with like a mask. Looks. There's two dudes with masks. Look pretty cool. Then there's this lady with like a guitar. It reminds me of that person from Samurai Champloo that was blind or whatever. She's got like skulls and like her headdress thing. And then there's like this person that looks like um, uh, that person from Hunter x Hunter that made the copies. And always had like that weird thing on the face, like a mummy kind of thing. So it's pretty darn cool. I'm hopeful that they'll actually not be a joke, but you know how that goes. Um, yeah, I think his devil fruit, Orochi's devil fruit, is definitely gonna be interesting. So shit goes crazy at like this festival thing. This is after he meets CP0. CP0 is gonna be involved, so they're gonna be buying weapons. I'm assuming the weapons are sea stone weapons. I don't know. It's pretty interesting to me um, uh, if like the Marines have always gotten their weapons from Wano, or if they were from Doflamingo that was from Wano, or what weapons are they really buying? We still don't know what the Reverie, like what those weapons Issa was talking about, so I don't know. Vegapunk is maybe making an appearance too, so I don't know if that's gonna happen or not, but pretty interesting stuff. Um, yeah, this other Oda has this arc has the hardest names in the. I've never had so many hard names to pronounce. There's like this really tall-headed dude who used to be the rival to. I always love these rivalry things. We don't really get to see him that much, but he's a rivalry to Raizo, and it's Fu Fu Kuro Kujo, I think. But anyways, I try saying that 3 times fast. He's like the main dude. He's actually like one of the main lieutenants, I would say, for for the Shogun. So that ends up happening. There's this crazy like chaos that happens at the castle, which is pretty cool. But trust me, it happens over a lot of chapters, so it's slow. Brooke infiltrates the castle. Scares some people. They're very people in Wano are spiritual, so I think it's cool that they actually Brooke makes so much sense here. Um, and then Kyosho, after Komurasaki, one shots the Shogun. He gets pissed off. He cuts a couple beams out of anger because Toki was laughing, which was the child of the daimyo that I was talking about. Daimyo. And out of nowhere, she slaps him, stands up for herself. We see the devil fruit. Pretty, looks cool at least. And then out of nowhere, Kyosho cuts her down, but then he says, like, "Oh, I'm sorry about this," and it's like, "What? Like, why you?" So I don't know if he's good or bad at this point. I'm going 60-40 that he's actually a good dude. Um, then we go on the move. Straw Hats run the move again. We go to like Sanji with the raid suit thing, the battle headliner with the page one. I wasn't really expecting a lot from that, but it was a display of power, like Luffy with Fisherman Island, so pretty cool. Some people were like mad that it was off screen. I didn't really care. I was just glad to see Sanji actually doing something in an arc that it wasn't whole cake. Actually, combat. He hasn't done combat in a while. And then Zoro meets the daimyo guy that we were talking about, but he goes by a different name. We see Luffy and Kid working out in the prison. Um, so it kind of goes slow here. It's not the greatest of acts, but yet again, it's building up, right? You know, you're not at your climax yet. You're not at your falling action. You're not at any of those points yet. So we're getting there. So Chopper, Momonosuke, Kiku, or Okiku, and Tama take an amnesia. Yeah, Big Mom has this amnesia thing. I don't know why they're there. Katakuri's the cool Big Mom pirates are not there. We got like the shitty ones like Pero's Pero and the genie dude that looks very provocative when he summons his devil fruit. Like just lame ones, but there's pretty interesting one how Pero's Pero says he wants to. If Big Mom were to die, kind of thing. And it's kind of interesting because it's kind of like, well, if Big Mom does die, you know, it's like this balance of power thing. And I honestly think in the newspapers when Luffy goes to Elbath, if Big Mom gets taken out here, or whenever Big Mom gets taken out, in between the Straw Hats journey, they're gonna get news about Big Mom straight like the children like having a civil war kind of thing, but in a way more like Pero's Pero versus Katakuri for leadership role of the Big Mom Pirates, and then they'll split. Some people go with Pero's Pero, and most people will go with Katakuri because he's a very respectable man, and he's way stronger. So I think that all ends up being a thing, and Katakuri might actually help Luffy get the hell out of Raftel because the thing is, once they get out of Raftel, like it's gonna go crazy, you know. Like there's gonna be Marines up the ass, so they're gonna have to find a way to get the hell out of there. So they can't take them all out because they're gonna be fighting the Blackbeard pirates to get out of there too. So that's just things to think about. Um, like I said, amnesia thing. I was I wasn't as mad as some people, but I was just like, why? Why do we need that? You know. Um, but then he like Luffy would go back to the prison. He starts to actually show some promise. You know, he takes out the smile people. Don't know why you'd have somebody so strong in a competition. And then out of nowhere, it goes back to this town, Ibizu, Ibizu town. That's kind of like where the main headquarters of the Alliance are a lot of the time. Um, and then Hawkins and Drake are like the police. They go to the bathhouse. There's a whole chapter about a bathhouse, and it's like, sure, Nami's she's sexy, but we don't need to see that. You know, it's just kind of ridiculous at this point. Whole chapter dedicated to something like that. But we do find out that he what's his name? Hiragora. He's like this. Hirogoru is like this like wise like used to be part of like this mafia people or whatever on Wano, like this gang, and he was pretty damn strong in terms of Ryu hockey. Which I guess Ryu hockey is like a more flowing will, like a constant like a cape of like just like your hand, but then you have like this cape of like flowing hockey. So somebody tries to hit you, you're just gonna hit this cape and it's just gonna indent, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So it's like a flowing water kind of thing. I think it's a pretty cool concept. Definitely amps stuff up for. And then there's another version where you hit somebody and their insides get messed up when you hit. So Kaido might actually take some damage eventually. So that's cool. Shinobi looks, we see what she looks like when she's young, which was, wow, okay. That was a really funny panel, too, in the castle when Nami, like, this dude, like, he's like, oh, Shinobi used to be really attractive or whatever, and then they like, beat that guy up, and then Nami uses that cloud, and there's an explosion. There's so many, like, little clashes that are really cool. But I love how we find out that, well, Zoro fights Kaomazu, and he actually takes him out, um, which was shocking because for some reason he got knocked out. He took a lot of blood, so I don't understand that. Komurasaki revealed herself as, Hiyori. Predictable. Wasn't really surprised. I can't believe people are saying it's Toki. Kind of does make sense if she's not going to show her face from Momo, but really? They don't look anything. I mean, from what we've seen of Toki, they don't look anything. The face, there's more health. There's more, more girth to the face of Hiyori than there is Toki. So I don't know. It's pretty stupid. I really think it's stupid. Um, and then we get this really interesting chapter with the execution thing, and then oddly enough, there's some samurai that get left over at there's two different prisons, and there was only one prison break eventually at the end of Act Two. So I'm thinking the kid, because he bounces at the end of the first prison break, I'm gonna think that he's actually gonna break those other dudes out and say, "Hey, look, if you samurai help me, like I will, you're gonna have to do something for me." And they may even join his crew, which would actually finally make his crew worth mentioning if he actually has some samurai. He doesn't have to recruit a lot of them at least. Then we get this amazing panel of Zoro just like going like this. After Yasu, who was the daimyo, we find out that he was good with Lord Odin and all that, and it was really interesting. Sanji blocks with his leg. He's not hockeyed up, but you can see his foot's all flame like he already did Diablo Jamba, and Zoro uses one of the slash techniques. And then we find out the smiles. We were hitting a really strong pace. Just honestly, Act 2, the setup and all that was just really amazing. I really enjoyed it. We get Zoro attacking the Shogun. I love how Zoro and Luffy are like that. You don't see, I mean, sometimes you'll see in Bleach, or, sometimes you'll see in some series, they'll take on the main antagonist, but not when they're like at odds. And the thing is, had Kyoshiro, had he not stepped in, Shogun Orochi would have been dead. He would have been a dead roach. I mean, seriously, there's no way he could have, because he's weak as hell. I mean, even if, I think he's an awakened Zoan because he took a freaking cloud blast, and he was fine. So maybe in his Zoan form, he's fine, but maybe when he's normal. So that kind of makes me think about Kaido, like, is he always in his Zoan form and that's why he doesn't take damage? Like if maybe he's a dragon, so maybe that's why he takes, honestly, that's starting to make sense. If he's a dragon, that's why he takes more damage when he's a dragon. So find out the smiles, why they're named that. We also get like Caesar like showing like this guy's scumbag, like Caesar was, even though he was cool and whole cake, he's still a jackass. He came up with the smile thing. And then we get Queen. Shortly after that, we get Big Mom showing up and just raising the stakes. Then Big Mom just says, "Yeah, screw your uh, Brachiosaurus thing. The long necked dinosaur just uses his neck, two shots Queen." And I mean, should we be surprised? Big Mom's a freaking tank, and if she was using hockey, like, and if she was really going ham, I'm honestly gonna say he probably would have died, because we're talking about the Yonko and Rocks members. You know, hello. um, and then we get Luffy teaming up at the prison. 948 was my favorite chapter, I think, in Act 2, even though a lot of people don't. It's like, oh, whatever. I think Luffy giving that speech saying, like, oh, I'm an outsider. I've been, he's basically been a prisoner at this, like, place for a while, so it's like, how is he an outsider? It's like, true. He has taken a lot of damage. He embraces all these dudes, takes in the illness. His skin starts boiling. Just unbelievable dedication, really. Gives this amazing speech. There's this French dude that didn't like the chapter, and I'm like, yo, how could you not? It was an amazing speech. We haven't got speeches from Luffy. It's like in Naruto, there's a speech every 2 minutes, but in One Piece, you're looking for the speeches because they're so rare. You have so many chapters that just have set up for like Sanji working at a freaking soup place. I mean, it's unbelievable. And then we start getting into the real stuff, like Luffy almost breaks a Congress will. He almost says, "Hey kid, why don't you help us?" And kid thinks about it, and then he doesn't. Yeah. Oh, Kaomazu, the killer. He's a killer. He's actually a killer from Kid's crew. Pretty freaking cool, if you ask me. Did not see that coming at all. That was the biggest. See, that's how you do them. That's how you do a plot twist, because like the Mr. Robot thing, I haven't talked about it, but I kind of had an idea, but that was still surprising. I mean, I had an idea where they're going. I mean, I understood it, but this, woof, I was like, yo, that's a beautiful plot twist. I was right on my nose, and I didn't even know about it. I have a theory about the Dawn Kingdom too, but we'll talk about that later in a video. But anyways, like Big Mom and Kaido clash. We see the four Yakuza bosses show up, and they straight up like I'm not even. I think Omaza. Omaza Sunagoro Cho, or just Cho, and Yetip. Yeah, I don't know those names. Man, those names are killing me. But those are the like the four bosses. They're about to kill Luffy, and then Hyugo's like, "Whoa, hold up!" Like, no, like, and they scatter around the world, or scatter around Wano. So I don't know how they actually. I don't know how all these people that are in the alliance keep sneaking around. Like, I don't know. Tommy uses her devil fruit to tame like the warden dude, basically. So pretty important. Queen leaves with Big Mom in chains. He comes up with this stupid plan of just knocking her on the head. Kinda works, kinda doesn't, because if she stayed conscious, yo, Queen, yo, you dumb as fuck. Like, honestly, if Big Mom had actually stayed conscious like a normal human being would, yo, watch out. She would have used Napoleon and sliced your ass up. There's nothing he could have done. He's a second tier Yonko commander. No. I'm so tired of Queen already. It's like, oh, the comic relief. It's like, you what with commanders? I mean, comic relief is for like Peros Pero like characters that he's not, but they're not. I want real characters. This is a war. We're not talking about some. That's just frustrating. Um, but as the war approaches, I love how we're getting the speed. Like 7 days, 3 days. Like boom, we're here. Like, and that's what's really great. Like the end of Act 2 is a really great start. Kawamatsu finds the weapons. There's a really kind of wasted chapter with that whole thing with the fox Onimaru, and it's pretty interesting because Onimaru seems to be with the same thing as Kaido, where I think it's a fox, a mythical fox that's like a mythical creature on Wano that actually ate a devil fruit, because devil fruits are in Wano for some reason, and became a monk man. I think that's what's going on, because we've never really had a transformation like this. If he was always a fox, why didn't he use his hands, like his hands, to pick up the weapons? Because that would be easier to use, right? So I don't know. I really don't know what's going on there. So that's something to be talked about. Yeah, so Onimaru could be, and we don't actually get a conclusion to this, so that's going to be something that happens on Wano. Then Kawamatsu finds all the swords, uses them away. I just realized that Raima is 400 years old by the Ohara Library timeline, so I don't know why he was at Thriller Bark and why he was not rotted. I mean, it kind of makes sense with the ice. They said, oh, your body is like frozen, but like 400 years? What? Like, I sometimes I don't think Oda thinks things out. And then out of nowhere, there was this really boring chapter with Zoro and the Enma blade, and out of nowhere, it's a Mito blade. It's a famous blade. Like Cracker's pretzel blade, but not shitty. And it cut Kaido. It cut Kaido, and it was pretty interesting because it was just like a throw in at the end of the chapter, like, yeah, just cut Kaido. And he already just naturally he just says it like nothing. It's like, what? And then we find out that Law, like, he gets in prison because Hawkins is a little bitch and he used his crew to against him. Pretty low. He's a pretty low pirate. I don't like Hawkins at all. You guys do, and Law just like cuts him up in little pieces, like uses devil fruit, cuts him up. He actually makes him bleed. So I think he used Hockey, or somebody else teamed up with him. I think it was Drake. But when you look at the feet and legs and shoes, it just matches Drake, and we see him later during the intermission. So, um, and then Law, you know, finds out that Scratchman Apu was always one of the scumbags, that was like betrayed them basically. And out of nowhere, we get these numbers, and they look beastly. They look like, oh, we're the wild things, like, like the kids are like, whoa, whoa, if we walk any further, if we're noticed, the numbers will eat us. So I don't know if they're awakened Zoans. People have been saying that, and it's like, that's the easy answer, but I think it'd be cooler if they were another race, like the Oni, like Onigashima, like the actual Oni, like a beast with like horns and stuff. I think that would be cool if we actually knew another race. Zoro uses this Enma blade, and it takes so much of his hockey that his arm gets really skinny like mine, and he just cuts half the mountain off by accident. Like, he wasn't even trying to do that much, so pretty interesting. Luffy is able to break a tree from the inside, so he's gotten stronger. Um, and then there's this port incident. We find out more about the blades, about like who actually made them, who made Enma, who Hitetsu is actually a pretty damn good blacksmith. I guess Enma and the Wado Ichimono, he made by the same person. Shimotsuki Kozoboru. So I don't know if Kozoboru is going to be somebody, but is 50 years ago. So I guess that's where Zoro's trainer came from. So Zoro actually might be related to the trainer and not even know it. Like relatives, like say, he's his cousin's third cousin removed, or like, great uncle. Could be something like that. I don't know. Something crazy like that. It could possibly be, and Zoro would have definitely finally a real connection. I think he might. I think he might be because he looks a lot like the Shimotsuki guy. That's like the daimyo that was with Onimaru. Yeah, he's got the same hair. Um, then Kaido and Big Mom make up. Why not? Why not have Yonkos make an alliance? That was pretty wild. And then it just keeps going. I don't know. This video is already 26 minutes, man. So I'm actually going to split this. I'm gonna put the rest of this into Act 3, the intermission this time, because I've already gone on length for quite a while. And then Act 3, from what I've read so far, is just Odin's backstory, and I'm really stoked. So alright, Act 2 for me was like 75%, as a setup, so you can't really judge it too much. Act 1 was great. It was one story, one continuous chronological storyline, so that was like 85 to me. Um, Boy, just reading some of Odin's backstory, it's like already, 85, so definitely looking forward to that. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do the interludes in the future, um, but definitely, I think I'm just going to include them part of like the interlude part of the next act, and then we probably won't be doing. I won't be doing Act 3 for a while because it won't be done, right? But what I'm going to do is when Odin's backstory is done, whenever that is, so I'm guessing 870 because we started at 860. I think that would make a lot of sense. Or maybe like 871, 872, so whenever that is, I will make a video about Odin's backstory, recapping, talking about it, talking about the significance of it and all that, and then going from there. That was a long video. And I just did recap, like I talked in between, about the Onabashu, and I didn't even talk about Orochi's main like guardsmen, like the Mimowari or whatever. There's a long name. I'm so bad at it. Yeah, I apologize, but it's like this. There's a history in Japan about these people that were hired by like during war times. They were like hired as like samurai. They were hired as police, so they're very, very historical element is used here. There's actually another police force in Japan's history where things really went wild, and it's like it starts with an S, and it's also like the Mimo whatever. Uh, they're also might show up, and it'd be pretty interesting if during Kazuki time they were also, they were the opposite of what Orochi's men are now. So I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't in Act 3. I mean, predictions is Fire Festival ends in hell. It ends in complete defeat again. We may even see. Actually, no. I was gonna say we may even see one of the Red Scabbards die. I'm thinking like but probably not. We might see Zanisha showing up at the end of Act 3. You know, to really see the end of this. Um, we're definitely gonna see. I think we're gonna actually find out more about Big Mom and the Rocks thing. Like their actual backstory about Rocks and their connection after Act 3, because they'll reflect like, you know, maybe there will be a public execution for all of like the main allied people, and they're all put on a stand, even Luffy, Nami, all of them. And in between the interlude, Kaido's like, oh, I remember when I was a part of Rocks, that kind of thing. That's the only way I can see that. Otherwise, we may never see it. Um, or just, I don't know. Those are the only things I can see actually happening in Act Three. I think the fight on Onigashima is just gonna be like chaos, like Marineford. Like we just see like Jozu versus what's the ice admiral, Aokiji. That kind of thing. Remember how fast that fight was? I think that's gonna happen. Like Nami's gonna fight one of the Onabanchu like hella quick. Like she's just gonna fight like the guy in the carp, right? Like for example, like within a couple of panels, just like clash, dude. She uses the cloud. This dude uses some like fire ability. She takes his fire ability with those heat balls or something, some crazy stuff. She knocks him out. Boom, one dude down. Like that's how fast I think it's gonna be. There's gonna be some casualties on both sides. Um, and then the final fight, your falling action, which usually is in Act 4. If we get an Act 4, or if Oda just wants to do 3, depends what he wants to do. Act 4 is definitely going to be where Kaido gets taken down. So that's my predictions moving forward, I guess. Very lengthy video, probably the longest video I ever make. So enjoy, and see you guys till next time.